You know, I've finally figured it out to tell how a Kirsten Stewart movie is good or not. If her face is blank, then it's going to be a bad movie. If she emotes like hell, it's going to be a good movie. And if it's going to be an okay movie, well, she does a bit of both. Yeah, that should be a rating system. Hello there, people of YouTube, and welcome to the Spike Hair Podcast for another movie review today. And today I'll be talking about a film that hasn't really got a lot of buzz around it. I didn't see any trailers going into it. I've only seen a couple of posters, which automatically piqued my interest because of the concept. This film, of course, is called Underwater, starring Kirsten Stewart and TJ Miller, amongst other actors. And this film is effectively underwater alien, if I had to put it in one little log line there. And before we get into the review, guys, if you do like what I do on this channel, please feel free to hit that subscribe button and drop a like on the video. That would really help a lot. And let me know what you thought about this film down in the comments below if you have seen it. But without further ado, guys, let's get right into the review. So, for starters, this film was actually better than I expected it to be. For something that had no marketing behind it, I was surprisingly impressed by it, especially after a weak start. Because this film doesn't spend any time trying to get to know the characters. Literally, the film starts, you get a few text messages to know why they are underwater, and then boom, earthquake, everything goes to hell, and the rest of the film is following Kirsten Stewart's Nora and several other survivors all trying to escape this underwater potential tomb. Now, this film, once it does have that little shaky rock the boat start, I did really enjoy a lot of the aspects of it. This film, for me, it could have easily been a very nice psychological horror video game, because that's what it felt like for the first half hour of the film, and throughout the rest of the movie I'm like, yep, that's where another mission would start, that's where another mission would start, that's where another mission would start. It was constant. I could literally picture a video game concept being made out of this the entire way through. So I'm kind of gutted that we're not actually going to get a game of this, because it would have been a hell of a lot of fun to play. TJ Miller is fantastic in this. He's basically the comic relief character, and he does crack a lot of jokes. So in effect, he is sort of playing himself, but in this sort of environment and what's going off with these survivors, it makes a lot of sense that you do have this little jokey character. If I had to compare him to anyone, I would say he's very close to Steve Buscemi's character in Armageddon with some of the stuff he comes out with. And Kirsten Stewart, I never understood why people hate on her. Yeah, she was in Twilight. That was over 10 years ago, guys. Come on, let's move on with this. She can act. Is she the greatest actress? No. But she does a very good job indeed. And to say this film didn't really have that many character development moments at the start, I do really appreciate that the film surprised me in a lot of ways. Usually when you see these sort of films and you see a group of survivors together, you're automatically thinking, that person's dead, that person's going to die, that person's going to die, and this person will probably survive. This film was very clever in the fact that every character I thought was going to die first lasts a lot longer than I expect, and characters that I don't expect to die quite quickly do actually die quite quickly, and that can hold back a few films, aka Alien 3, where the only real big developed character besides Sigourney Weaver is killed off quite early. But that being said, I was pleasantly surprised to be surprised. It wasn't predictable in any way on who was going to live, who was going to die. It shows you quite early that it doesn't care who it kills off. So for that first viewing, it is a lot of fun. Just go along with the ride and not trying to expect anything from it. The cinematography in this is also very good. It's very claustrophobic. There are some jump scary bits where you have first person walking through underwater areas in these big biometric suits, shining lights into the darkness. You're expecting some sort of a jump scare to come up. Honestly, it is very well crafted how they shoot this movie, which surprised me a lot considering the first 10 minutes of it was filled with so much shaky cam. And while it does occasionally carry on with the shaky cam throughout the film, it isn't as jarring as you would expect, and it does try and keep itself steady as much as possible and only shows you what it needs to show you, which I thought was really good. And when the movie does slow down and takes a breath, it gives you some absolutely gorgeous shots. I only really have a handful of complaints with this. Obviously the shaky cam is a bit of a bother for me, but for the most part the cinematography is quite good. I did like how they played with the concept, but some of my issues with the film include the fact that this film could have been great if they just spent maybe 20 or so minutes at the start building up these characters. I said at the start of the review, this is like Alien but underwater, and imagine Alien but they just cut out all the character building and getting to know the crew in the first half hour of that film before the alien pops out. It wouldn't be as good a movie because you won't care about these characters as much, and while this film does save itself by developing these characters as it goes along with the hectic nature, they could have spent 20 minutes just having Kristen Stewart's character go through this facility, meeting these characters for maybe brief conversation, establish a quick bit of banter between them, and then move on. And then we get to the bit where everything goes to hell. Now they've added a lot more depth and layer to the early elements of this film, because there are some characters that die before we even get to know them. There's a bit where they're crawling through this little tight space where they find the body and say, that is so-and-so. Well, it would have been nice for us to see so-and-so, even just briefly for maybe like 30 seconds of screen time prior to this. Just so like, oh, it's a nice character, I really like them, oh, and they're dead. Honestly, it doesn't take much for a film to make you care about a character. Battle Royale, for one, makes every one of this 50 or so bloated cast feel like they matter. Why? Simply because when someone dies, they put their name and their age on there. So it's like, no, this is not a random character, this is a person with a name and identity. Just give a character a small bit of identity and we'll latch onto him because that is pure human nature. I also do find it a bit annoying that Nora gets very plot armory towards the last third of the film. There are some things that happen. For example, there is an issue with someone's suit that happens because of a bit of debris at some point in the film. And then we have Nora getting pushed pillar to post on things that have way more impact than her suit, and it stays fully intact and she just gets up and jogs on with it, even though people are commissioning the film for a lot less than what she is going through. So that really did irritate me at certain points. So to summarize, the first 15% of the film is like exposition through text, throwing us into the deep end with a bunch of shaky cam not meeting anyone. That was weak. And the last 20% conclusion I feel like could have been stronger. There's a bit too much plot armor within it, and there are a couple of things that happen that I don't feel like needed to happen. It would have been a lot more interesting if it just stayed a bit ambiguous as to what is going on down there, and the big reveals aren't as big as the film obviously wants it to be. But that's only 35% of the film. The rest of the 65% is very well shot, very nicely acted. The chemistry between the cast is really good, and I do like these narrow hallways, the way it's shot, the fact that you don't see much happen, the fact that when they are dying left, right and centre, you don't really see what's going on, but when deaths happen they are gruesome. It doesn't hold back at all. I honestly don't know why this film didn't get marketed quite well. I feel like they spent all their budget on the actual film, because these are some really good sets, and the amount of water involved on it and the special effects, you can tell there was a lot of money thrown into this film, and I feel like this film probably made a loss at the box office. It came out in January in America, it only just came out over here, so if it did bomb, I'm really sad about that, because this film had all the potential to be great. It actually could have been really great, but as it stands, this is a very fun film to watch, and I will say, guys, that Underwater is a film that just needs a bit more sugar. So, Underwater, have you all seen it? If you have, let me know what your thoughts were down in the comments below. And until next time, guys, this is the Spike Hair Podcast, signing off. Hey, thank you for watching, and thank you for making it to the end of the video. While you're here, if you haven't done it yet, please feel free to drop a like and consider hitting that subscribe button for more views coming all the time. And also, while you are here, there are some other videos over there that you might want to sink your teeth into. Have a good day, guys, and do enjoy.